Alright, so this beautiful lady just shed out. Very excited about her. We'll go over her and talk about owning a Burmese python and what it's been like having her around. But first, I just want to show you guys these two males that just shed out. And very excited about them. Hopefully they'll be ready for breeding at the end of this year. So it's a leopard yellow belly clown. Really nice colors and patterns on him. So we can see his yellow belly and really nice pattern on his head. But there we go. Kind of hard to get some of these snakes to sit still on the video. And then we have this guy right here. It's a Mahogany Pied. So very excited for him to be growing up, and we'll see what type of babies he can make, hopefully this year and definitely in the future. So let me get everything set up and then we will talk about her. Alright, so this is Peaches, the Pearl Burmese Python, and that is a combo with the hypo and the albinos, and I think both of them look fantastic on their own. But when they're mixed together, they look 100% better. So she will keep her nice bright yellows as an adult. She has very nice white on her sides, and her belly is completely white from her chin all the way down to her tail. So some people ask me what it's like to own a Burmese, because some people were interested in them. So I'll just talk to you guys about how I take care of her and how she's been in my care, and what I've noticed with her over the last 2 years, if you can believe it. So these are my opinions, and my opinions only, not facts. And we all know how that is, and a lot of people like to argue with people's opinions. But there's a lot of good information about Burmese pythons. There's a lot of good people on YouTube that own them and are very successful with them and own a lot. They breed them and fantastic morphs and information on them. So she was born, I think, right around like November-ish of 2019, and I picked her up maybe like 2 months after that. So got her when she was a baby, and she's been fantastic ever since I've had her. I did notice though when she was a baby that she did like to bite. She was a little bitey. She never bit me though, so she would just kind of like strike a little bit. But I think that's pretty normal for Burms, especially like the smaller ones, because they're tiny and we as humans are very large. And snakes don't need any human interaction at all in their lifetime. So, when we're poking at them and grabbing at them and wanting to hold them and peeking their cages all the time to see how they're doing, I think they get a little scared and a little defensive, because in the wild anything bigger than them would probably try to eat them. So that's just their basic, natural instinct, is to survive and to scare a bigger threat. So holding her, trying to bond with her, she got over the bitey part pretty fast, but she was very hissy. She liked to puff her body up, make herself look a lot bigger than what she was. I used a hook with her when she was a baby. I still use a hook with her just so she's prepared for the hook. Using a hook on her when she's an adult. I don't need any issues with her. Her biting me now would not be that big of a deal, but once she gets to be an adult, I just don't need any complications. So getting her used to being pulled away a little bit in the cage with a hook, and then I can take her out without any issues. And once she's out, she's really docile, and she's really nice to handle. I have no issues with her. So if you put your time into them as a baby, and I just speak as a baby because I buy all of my snakes as babies just so I can bond with them. I know their health, I know their feeding schedule, I know everything about them. So this is just talking in generalization if you buy one as a baby. So feeding, we talk about feeding, they eat very well. I've never had an issue with her. She'll eat birds, quail, chicks. She'll eat rats. She loves rats the most. When she was a baby, she ate a ton of quail, and I don't really feed her really anything else. So you have to think about the feeding cost, because as they get older, they will need larger meals. I guess you could feed multiple rats at a time, which that's expensive. So you would probably just want to go with like one rabbit or something like that. But Hopefully you can find rabbits. I know you can get a lot of sources online right now and get them shipped to you. Hopefully you can find somebody closer that breeds rabbits and you can get a good deal on them. But if you only own, if you're just going to own like one Burmese, then it's not that big of a deal. With like 100 snakes and you're tossing in, you know, a Burm that's going to eat rabbits, that could throw you off a little bit financially, but hopefully not. We'll talk about Cajun. So Cajun right now, she's like a 4x2, which is perfectly fine for her. And as adults, I think the standard right now is like an 8x3. If you can get one larger, then that would be perfect for her or him, whichever one you get. I do see, and I don't judge anybody on how they keep them. I have seen adults in 6x2s and 6x3s, little cramps. But I think if you take the time and you take them out a lot, then maybe they're okay. But I would suggest having somewhere in your house or apartment or something where you can at least have a wall free to put an 8x3 cage. Then that would be perfect for the entire lifespan of a Burmese. But again, if you can go and get a bigger cage for one, then that's perfect. We'll go back to feeding really fast because you guys are probably shocked that this is 2 years old. Some of you aren't. Like, it all plays with the genetics on a snake, and it all plays on how you want to feed them. So she's 2. She's actually a very good size, I think. Good body tone, good muscle on her. She's definitely not malnourished at all. Some people are, how the internet is. They always want to judge, but said that there's no way it's a 2-year-old Burm, and it is, I promise. I promise you she's 2. So I did see a video of somebody that held a 2-year-old Burm, and it was like maybe 11, 12 feet long. And I was talking to John Chandler because I was really worried, like maybe I am not feeding it right. And basically what it comes down to, if you want a big snake, you have to feed it big meals, and you have to feed it like a big snake. So a lot of these people are feeding twice a week on large meals on their babies. Sometimes they're feeding them very large meals once a week where it leaves a massive lump in them, where this snake will have scale separation because the meal is so large. And if you want a large snake, then do what you need to do. Have your big snake very early. Do it for the internet. A lot of people love big snakes. I like to see big snakes. A lot of people get their snakes gigantic, for views on YouTube, likes on the Instagram or the Facebook. And, their average lifespan is normally like 20 to 25 years, maybe hitting 30. But if you feed them young a lot, where they're starting to get some fat on them, fat pockets, and you can see it on their body, they're not going to live very long. I've seen a lot of people with gigantic Burmese pythons, very fatty Burms, die 10, 12, 13, 14 years old. And they've cut them open and their bodies are lined with fat. They have heart issues, kidney failures, liver issues. So it's just one of those things that you really have to be careful in, because they can pack a lot of weight on them very, very fast. And I think one thing is just my opinion, when they get to be adults, I think we can calm down on the feeding a little bit. But that's just me. You feed them once a month, every other month, an appropriate size meal. You don't need to be pounding Burms or any other big snakes once a week with a 10-pound rabbit. If they're in captivity, most of the time they're going to be lazy, they're going to be fat, they're just going to sit in a cage all day, and they're not going to burn any calories. So I'm really keeping my eye on her. I feed her, once a week, every 10 days, appropriate meal. If I need to stretch it out every 2 weeks, then I'll do that. I'm going to feed her again tomorrow. She is on smalls. I'll probably give her a medium rat, and I really think this year she's gonna really go up in size because we're getting her the larger rats now. So very excited to see her grow, and I'm gonna need a bigger cage for her soon because she will grow out of her 4-foot cage, I would assume, within the next 6-ish months. The conditions that I keep her in, the room's ambient temperatures, so I really have never had any issues with the snakes on that. The rack system, some of the other snakes are on radiant heat panels and stuff like that, but I do keep the room at 86, 87, 88 degrees, so she's fine with that. The humidity, minimum 60%, I would say. And then, maximum, it really depends on what you want, because It's very humid in southern Asia where they're from. It's very humid in Florida. So if your humidity is seeing 80%, I think that's perfectly fine. I personally have never heard of any issues with snakes on high humidity. It's always the low humidity when you start hearing about people getting like respiratory infections, snakes that are regurgitating, and stuff like that. So that's really it. I mean, they're gonna hit 15, 16 feet, 100 pounds, 120, 30, 40 pounds, depending on how big of a snake you want. I mean, you can get a Burmese that's 180 pounds. And I've seen people keep snakes pretty lean. So I've seen some 12-footers that are, you know, that are pretty lean, pretty small around. So it's really on how you want to keep your animal and how you decide on how you want to feed them and stuff like that. But, you know, they will get big no matter what. They're going to hit 12 feet very easily. I would suggest, and I would say that this would be an okay beginner snake, just because if you handle them and you spend time with them, they can be extremely docile. Once they get older, I'm told that they're just kind of like a gigantic ball python. They don't really do very much. They're not very active. They eat phenomenal, much better than a ball python, and then you get the size and stuff like that. If you don't like boas or if you don't like the retics, then a Burm would be perfect for that. So I really think that if you're looking for something different, a little bit bigger, then this would be perfect. And, you know, like I said, if you don't pound them with food, at 2 years, you really don't need a gigantic cage. But you will need a cage, like I said, later in life. So later in their lives. But that is really it on the Burms. Like, she's just super calm, docile. I would recommend a Burmese python for any snake keeper, anybody that's wanting to get into these, that have done their research on just about every other snake and they are dead set on a Burm. I would say, yeah, you should buy one, definitely. Look into the morphs, figure out what colors, what patterns you want, and then I would say just go ahead and buy it. As long as you got the caging room and you can fit the bill for the food, then no problems. So that is it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing her, and stay tuned because she will be growing very, very fast this year, and I'm very excited about that. So enjoy the weekend, enjoy your day. See you guys on the next video.